A few months ago, fans were asking EARTHGANG, yo, when's the next album coming out? When's Ghetto Gods coming out? Because Maryland was really dope. And they pretty much responded mostly in jest saying, oh, whenever Cole drops, we're going to drop the same day. And that was mostly because at that point in time, no one really knew when Cole was going to drop. And they were just like kind of making fun of that. Like people just being like, oh yeah, Cole, you need to drop. Like that sort of thing. And, you know, if you're aware, I'm pretty sure you are, Cole did just drop the off-season. And clearly we did not get Ghetto Gods. So, to hold us over, EARTHGANG did a freestyle to Lemon Pepper Freestyle, which it's a dope beat and so many people have done it, so that's cool. But, you know, EARTHGANG always does a little bit different, so, you know, we have to go bar for bar and break down these lyrics. So we start off with Dr. Dot on his verse.
LOL, SMH, here we go again. If you broke, you need better friends. I'd rather offend before I pretend. These niggas be fake, I don't be convinced.
Basically what he's saying is, LOL, SMH, here we go again. Like, alright, here we go again. We doing this again. Like, whatever it is, he's tired of it. And based on the rest of the lines here, it's someone's asking him for money, maybe. Like, that's kind of what it sounds like. And he's just, like, tired of it. And going into the rest of the lyrics there, he's saying, if you're broke, you need better friends. I'd rather offend before I pretend. These dudes be fake, I don't be convinced. Which, to me, is him saying, it kind of going into, like, the whole, you are who your friends are. So, like, if you are around people who are broke and aren't getting any money, some in whatever way they need to, I mean, that's why you broke. Like, that's kind of on you. And he's saying that he'd rather offend before he pretends, unlike everyone else, because, you know, that's not necessarily the best thing to do. Like, you can easily just be like, hey, no, it's cool. You do your thing. Here's some money. But he's being realistic with it. He's like, I'm not afraid to offend you because, you know, like, I'm doing this to better you. When people actually care for you, they're gonna, they're not really gonna be like sugarcoating things. They're gonna be pretty upfront about it. So that's where he's going, I think.
Fuck a bad bitch, she was built like she came in a kit. Come to think the parts probably did. Wanna know where I been with the mollies and shit, Brittany Howard and shit. Then I'm back on old net niggas hopping dimensions.
So this woman that he's had intercourse with was built like she came in a kit. Like she was built, like she was put together in some way. And then he's like, you know what? Matter of fact, the parts probably did. Maybe alluding to her getting some sort of cosmetic surgery. And then people are asking him, where you been? Well, he's been with the Mollies and shit, Brittany Howard and shit. So he's, you know, just out there. He's basically saying like, yo, I'm around, I'm just doing stuff. When people are hopping in the mentions, I think that's whenever he gets back online. Like whenever he returns or whenever he starts responding to people, then everyone starts hopping in the mentions like, yo, what's happening? Where you been? What's going on with the album?
All this back and forth action feel like pocket in the trenches. Get the documents ready, cause we gon' profit with this one. Get the troops at attention. Stay tight down with the balance. Can't be moved from my center. Rather dead than be average.
Back and forth action, like conversations, these mentions. So it's all this back and forth. And he feels like he's Pac in the trenches. I don't think Tupac was literally in trenches, but it's kind of similar, you can say. Like, people say like the ghetto or the hood is the trenches. So he's like, I feel like Pac. But also maybe alluding to the idea that whenever Tupac was on the East Coast, he was in the trenches because back in the day, the East Coast, West Coast beef was a real serious thing. Get the documents ready because we won't profit with this one. So whenever you're trying to make money or profit in some sort of way, you want to make sure that all the documents is straight because you don't want to get audited and lose out on any sort of profit you made just because you messed up on the paperwork. Having the troops at attention, they're ready. They're ready to go whenever they need to. Tapped in with the balance kind of goes into the next line, can't be moved from my center, rather dead than average. Because basically he's saying like, I'm centering myself. I'm balanced. Like nothing can mess with me right now. Also just mentally, like he is centered, he is balanced. So there's nothing that can really mess with him or like take him away from that. And he'd rather be dead than average. I mean, I think most people want to be that. Like, you don't want to be just a regular dude sometimes. Like, you want to prove to yourself and others that you're something special.
Rather dead bred to be average. It's the premium package, my bitch look like Janet. Life don't come with a filter, if you don't know you an animal, then you won't understand it. Niggas swear by they morals until they cold with their family.
Just kind of reiterating, he'd rather be dead than average, and it's the premium package. Like, again, kind of going off of what I said earlier, you don't want to just be the regular. You want to have something that makes you special. And he's applying this more towards cars here, or really anything that has a higher tier package system. So like cars are the easy example. Like you can get the base model, or you can get the EX, slightly upgraded, bro. Or the sport model, if that makes a little bit more sense. He's comparing whoever he's with to Janet Jackson, and basically saying like, yo, she's beautiful, and in real life she looks beautiful without that filter that, you know, people be putting on IG, or like any sort of, you know, like edits to the images. And then they're swearing by their morals until they call with their family. Some people are like super like strict with their morals, like they can only do things a certain way, or like whatever is right to them, sometimes to a fault. And he's saying like they'll be like that until they're dead, essentially. Because cold with their families, to my mind, is like their bodies are dead, like their bodies are cold, like buried.
I'm telling you, degrees Celsius. The music carried us to legendary areas. My passport is slut, yours need is cherry bus. Niggas on the block living vicarious.
Following the cold line, he's like degrees Celsius. I mean, Celsius may seem like it's colder just because the numbers are smaller, but it's kind of the same. It would be cooler if he said like 0 degrees Celsius or Kelvin or whatever. But this sounds nice, so that makes sense. The music carried us to legendary areas. So what they've been doing as EARTHGANG has brought them kind of all around the world. Like these are places that if they didn't do all this, if they didn't get picked up, like they probably wouldn't be everywhere. They wouldn't be going to the places that they've been. His passport is to let yours need a cherry bus. That to me is just like when you go to different countries and stuff, like you get your passport stamped. So his passport has a bunch of stamps, but yours, like whoever he's talking to, you probably don't even have a passport maybe, but also like, yo, you need to get some stamps. Like you need to explore, you need to venture out there. Dudes on the block living vicarious. Yeah, I mean, people will live through you. And I think this is him talking about people that he may know personally, like people that he grew up with, like they're just living through him. And that's a good thing too, because a lot of times it's the opposite. Like people are just like, oh man, he changed. He's different now. He's got money. Like then just be hella jealous. But in this case, it sounds like they're more like happy for them.
You gon' get that shit expunged, you gon' be there with us. I've been hurt so much, now the pain is hilarious. Niggas swear they special, but the RIP regular. We becoming expendable just for being accessible. That shit unacceptable.
Getting the shit expunged, talking about those dudes on the block. They may have cases, so they're trying to get that expunged. Basically to the point that, yo, like, you're gonna come with us. He's been hurt so much now, the pain is hilarious. He's become not necessarily numb to it, but it's like regular to him. So he's just like, shit, whatever. It ain't a big thing. That's maybe why he started off his verse with LOL SMH. Here we go again. We becoming expendable just for being accessible. That shit unacceptable. I'm not sure if he's talking about them as EARTHGANG or them as black men. The expendable part is like, you don't necessarily matter in some people's eyes. Like that's maybe what he's getting at. He's like, yo, like we're just another person. They'll just replace us at some point. And that's because we're accessible. Like maybe more so in music, you can say. So like there's plenty of artists recently who have been shot at or killed or died for various reasons. And that's just because they're accessible. Like people know who they are and they just kind of know where they at. Not everyone has protection on them. So he's basically saying that's unacceptable. And then we get into Johnny Venus's verse.
As I press record, the rain starts to pour. Doc called and said I should bear it all. How I been dealing with the passing of my paw. How God always seems to add another straw.
It sounds like almost immediately that Johnny Venus isn't necessarily in the best place mentally, but Doc D called him in and he's like, yo, you need to get it out. And a lot of artists, like, this is their outlet. They make music and talk about it on a track. And that's what gives them, I mean, it's basically therapy. Like, it's a form of therapy. Like, some people will work out, some people make music, that sort of thing. The rain starts to pour. To me, I mean, it could be literal rain, but could be tears too. How God always seemed to add another straw sounds like, like the saying, like, this is the last straw, like, this is what's gonna push you over the edge to do something else. Like, he's saying somehow, like, how does it happen? I don't know, but straws keep getting added. So there are things that stop him from basically stopping everything.
How I hit the road and passed the passport like 100,000 times, but I never stopped to pause. Q with me, I could hear it in his calls. We missing Matt, but we try to shake it off.
He's now just kind of reflecting on how he's been on the road and just kind of like, hands people his passport to get it stamped and everything. And in all his traveling, he's saying he never stops to pause and like just kind of think about things. I don't know who Q is. I'm sure I'm just being dumb and don't remember. But he's like, Q is with him. He can hear it in his calls. Like, he's calling to him. And then he's talking about Mac Miller. Like, we're all missing Mac, but we try to shake it off. I mean, they were close to him too, I'm sure. So that's a tough loss really for everyone. So I don't blame them. Like, a lot of people haven't really been able to deal with it in their own way.
We came at the right time, the crossing of lifelines, so like the tears, ink starts to fall. Rewrite the history you witnessing. Hampton U 12 to 2 things I was missing them.
Whatever was happening, they, meaning Johnny Venus and Doc D, or just their crew, they came in at the right time. And it was like adding extra lifelines. So lifelines typically are in game shows and stuff. So like, if you don't know the answer to something, you can call up a friend. So basically, they got to the point where they just kept adding lifelines. So they have more people to reach out to with whatever thing they're dealing with. It could also be that because he was talking about people passing. So these lifelines are being crossed out because, I mean, they can't be reached anymore necessarily. Like, not in the same way that you would normally reach someone. Like, you can't just call them up necessarily. So that's why the next line, the tears, ink starts to fall, makes a little more sense. Because basically, like, his tears, the rain that's pouring, is causing his pen to write and spill ink on the pen or pad. And he's rewriting the history you're witnessing. Like, he's changing what you're seeing. And that could be for music, it could be for society, it could be for a lot of things.
Too busy envisioning. Thinking about my brother got his wings in 2010. The year was 05, you should have seen us back then. Rapping over school lunch tables, murder beats with the pen.
Too busy envisioning. Like, he's recollecting his thoughts, like going back into different things in his life, re-envisioning them. And in this case, he's thinking about his brother who passed away in 2010. And he's thinking about a time in 05 when they're both in high school, school. And they're just rapping on the school lunch table. People in school, like, people will be beating on the table to create a beat. So they're rapping over those beats that people made. And they would then murder those beats with a pen. Or they could also just be like people bringing in beats too. Or like people are talking about music and they're like playing the song and they just be rapping over it.
Release date is what I'm waiting on. And the scope gotta crunch the numbers. This industry is flooded with mindless muddles, cause lies sell. The ugly truth might not bring in the money.
So they're waiting on a release date. Like, whether it be, they're waiting on a release date for their album, I'm assuming. I mean, release dates could be a few other things, but in this case, I think it's the album, because they're talking about Interscope. Like, Interscope's just got to figure out when's the right time to drop it. Like, they got to work the numbers. The industry is flooded with mindless muddles because lies sell. This is just him talking about how, like, the current state of rap he feels. The stuff that's out there is kind of, I guess, mindless in his mind because lies sell. And that's true. I mean, people don't really necessarily care about content. They just care about what it sounds like and what they say they do. That's kind of an argument that T-Pain was making a little bit, where people more pay attention to the beats rather than the rapping, but that's something else entirely. And then him saying the lies sell goes into the next line, the ugly truth might not be bringing the money. So that's, I mean, EARTHGANG they can get a little bit too real for some people. I mean, we heard it a little bit on the Spilligion album. So, like, there were bits I'm like, wow, I'm surprised that they were actually able to say that. And the label was like, yeah, no, it's fine. I don't know how much say Interscope had on that particular album, but I'm imagining on this next album, they probably have a little bit more say. Because, you know, if you're speaking the truth, like, that's not necessarily what people want to hear. They want to hear, you know, just things that are more pleasant, or like not necessarily just things that are actually happening that we need to talk about, at least in music. And that goes right into the next part.
Don't they know it's real shit the people want? A pause from the pill pop prescription junk. Still humble as a mumble rapper. Still hungry for the same shit LeBron after greatness.
Yeah, so like I was saying, there are definitely people who want to hear the real truth. Like, that's what they want to hear. But to major labels, they're like, but that doesn't give plays. That doesn't bring us all the money. So that makes it really difficult for a lot of artists, like, who actually want to make the music that they want to make. Like, they got to deal with the label and all the stuff that they're trying to push instead. And he's basically saying, like, yo, don't you know that the people want the real shit? They want to take a break from this pill pop prescription junk. Like, they don't really like, some people don't really want to hear that anymore. Is that what we want to hear? And then he's still humble as a mumble rapper, which is basically him saying that he's not quite humble, I feel, because some mumble rappers are just kind of like flexing the whole time. And he's still hungry for the same shit LeBron after, which is greatness. Which, yeah, that's a great thing to be hungry for.
Still rooting for the city's #1 trapper who made it out the barrel, turned around and sent down the ladder. Y'all niggas gon' make me act a fucking whole bastard. Lose my religion, start stacking up some cold caskets.
He's still rooting for the city's #1 trapper. Like, trappers, I think you know what that means. So he's still rooting for them because they're working hard. I mean, they got to make a living. I think he's addressing other people in general. Like, y'all gonna make me act a whole fucking bastard. Like, you're gonna make me act a fool, basically. And then lose my religion, start stacking up some cold caskets. I'm assuming he's referring to the song Lose My Religion, but could be just he's just saying it. But basically, like, you guys are gonna make him act a whole fucking bastard and push him to the edge. Like, he's gonna lose his religion, his spirituality, because Johnny Venus is like one of the most spiritual people you can ever see or meet. So if you're gonna push him to that point, like, he might as well go all in and stack some cold caskets. Then it goes into the outro, which is just a bit letting the beat play. And that's the song. This was a dope freestyle. I mean, freestyle is a very loose term nowadays, but it was dope. I enjoyed this. It's been a while since I've heard them really rap like this, because I think the last track that they put out might have been Options, and I wasn't really big on that. It was cool, but like, it wasn't for me. And before that, it was Revenge of the Dreamers 3. So, unless I'm missing something entirely, that is. It's good to hear them back. And, I mean, to be fair, they never really went anywhere. But, you know, they just... Oh, well, actually, no, they did the Spillage Village album. I'm dumb. That came out after Revenge of the Dreamers. So, I mean, they were pretty heavily on that too, because they're a major part of Spillage Village. But, you know, it's just nice to hear them back on their more solo stuff. Although they are a duo, I guess. You know what I mean? Like, there's no featured artist. It's just Johnny Venus and Dr. D. And, you know, it was dope. I liked it. I liked it mostly because of Johnny Venus's verse. Mostly because he gets really introspective and, like, vulnerable, which he does pretty well. Like, he's done it before on multiple tracks, and he can put his emotion into writing really well. But that's not to say that Dr. Dot's verse was bad. It was just a little bit different. It was more, I guess, addressing different things. They both kind of went in with different topics, it feels. Like, Johnny Venus was more focusing on losses and dealing with just labels and other people. Doc D is just talking about people he's around. At least, that's what it sounds like for the most part. I'm sure I'm missing something there, though. But that's all I have to say about this. I enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to Ghetto Gods whenever that comes out. I'm gonna be patient though. I'm not gonna be bugging them every week or every other day. So, but anyways, with that said, let me know in the comments below if I missed anything or misinterpreted anything with the lyrics, because that's always a possibility. Also, let me know what you thought of the song. And I'm trying something a little bit different with these breakdown videos too, so let me know what you think with that. Also, remember to like and subscribe if you want to see more breakdowns and content like this. Thank you for watching, and please stay safe out there.